Today, President Trump signed an executive order beginning the process of building a wall on the border between the U.S. and Mexico. The executive order directed the Department of Homeland Security to identify and, to the extent permitted by law, allocate all federal funds that could be used to build the wall. I'm not sure how successful they will be in finding federal funds that have been provided by Mexico, but they're going to be able to find some money and begin to lay down the foundations of that multi-thousand-mile wall. The executive order also attempts to clear away some of the other obstacles associated with building the wall. It allows federal agents to access border land for security reasons, which could make it harder to sue the Trump administration for violating environmental regulations by building on protected land. Well, I'm sure you won't have to sue them because, they're not going to build it if it'd be bad for the environment. Come on.
Oh, I heard from Trump that he's going to be amazing for the environment.
Amazing for
the environment's going to be good anyway.
Yeah.
That's what I hear.
Yeah, so again, just realize that with all of the other reasons why it's ridiculous to build this wall, you also have the sort of two core, at one point, principles of the Republican Party. Stewardship of the environment out the door, and the environment is going to be set on fire. And then also, they're going to be using eminent domain like you wouldn't believe it to get this land to produce the wall, which used to be a thing that they were against. Not so much
by the
anymore.
way, if you live down in Texas or Arizona or all those border states, and you were dyed-in-the-wool conservative who was against the government, big government come and take your land, right? They're about to do that to you.
Yeah.
So enjoy.
Enjoy that. So we want to give you a little bit more details about this executive order straight from our president, and you'll see that in this video.
I just signed 2 executive orders that will save thousands of lives, millions of jobs, and billions of dollars. Here's a brief summary of what actions are contained in my executive orders. The Secretary of Homeland Security, working with myself and my staff, will begin immediate construction of a border wall. We are going to get the bad ones out, the criminals and the drug deals and gangs and gang members and cartel leaders. The day is over when they can stay in our country and wreak havoc. We are going to get them out, and we're going to get them out fast. Our order also does the following: ends the policy of catch and release at the border, requires other countries to take back their criminals. They will take them back. Cracks down on sanctuary cities. Empowers ICE officers to target and remove those who pose a threat to public safety. Creates an Office of Homeland Security dedicated to supporting the victims of illegal immigrant crime.
So they're taking that whole angel moms thing, and they're going to have like a new agency specifically for those whose lives have been ruined by undocumented immigrants.
Okay, so the era of fear has begun, and
Or
so,
progressed at the very least.
Yes.
We got more of it.
And so we're going to protect you, but you should be really, really afraid. Look at these poor women whose lives were ruined, yada yada, and that's around the corner. Now, does it give you any context as to the degree of the crimes that happened, and what are bigger issues in the country, what are smaller issues in the country? Of course not. But what we need you to do is be very, very afraid, because I alone can protect you, as Trump said during the RNC. And so that's begun. But look, this is to be 100% expected. Everybody knew he was going to try to build a wall. Now, whether he actually builds that wall is another matter. And I suspect that on that grounds, that he will flail around for a long time, and in a year and a half from now, that it will largely not be built. That's my guess, but I'm not saying write that down in stone. But it's the reason that one of the reasons we don't have a wall is because it's pretty hard to build. And I've seen documentaries of the people who live in the border states, Texas, Arizona, et cetera, going, no, you can't build a wall here. It's like, I would love it. I don't want the immigrants to come in. I'm conservative, but you can't build a wall here. It doesn't make any sense.
It's not just a flat desert.
Right. And so there's probably largely gaping holes in that wall, and not the big, beautiful door that he was talking about. And so if a year and a half from now it's schwang, wang, wang, and he hasn't built it, I think that that's going to have a political price. But right now, as it stands, he has to do this. That's what he promised people. So nobody should be surprised by this. We hate it, but that's why I voted against him.
Yeah.
So it is what it is.
Exactly. Now let's talk a little bit more about the funding of it, though. So we've heard for 19 months now that it's going to be Mexico. So let's just hear him reiterate that.
Going to direct U.S. funds to pay for this wall? Will American taxpayers pay for the wall?
Ultimately, it'll come out of what's happening with Mexico. We're going to be starting those negotiations relatively soon, and we will be in a form reimbursed by Mexico, which I've
So they'll
always
pay
said.
us back?
Yeah, absolutely, 100%.
So
yes.
the American taxpayer will pay for the wall at first?
All it is we'll be reimbursed at a later date from whatever transaction we make from Mexico.
Mexico's president said in recent days that Mexico absolutely will not pay, adding that it goes against our dignity as a country and our dignity as Mexicans. He says,
Well, I
quite
think
simply,
he
they're
has-
not paying.
David, I think he has to say that. He has to say that. But I'm just telling you, there will be a payment. It will be in a form, perhaps a complicated form.
It will be in a form. I love that David Muir tried to get him to say, so, but originally we'll be paying for it, right? And he just said, eventually they will pay for it.
In other words,
and
yes.
so, and I love the projection there. The Mexican president has to say that we're not going to pay for it. Well, Bozo, you have to say that we will pay for it, even though they're making clear that they're not going to.
Yeah, just quick note on that. Look, there are ways that he can claim later that Mexico paid for it. He could stop the money going into Mexico from family members and tweak the laws so that it makes it more difficult to transact with Mexico. And then he can say, well, you know, either he can use that to negotiate with Mexico, or he could just simply say, well, that was in essence paying for it because I increased the percentage of that they had to pay in order to do this trade or that transaction. So I got to, you know, will it actually pay for the entirety of the wall? Almost certainly not. Oh, that's almost inconceivable. But he will find an excuse to say, you see, that was the complicated form that I was talking about.
That is what is going to happen, I'm almost sure. I don't know exactly what he's going to claim is their payment, but he will do that. Now let's talk about the money, because he said in that first video we showed you, this executive order is going to save billions and billions of dollars. Well, we're going to tell you what actually is going to be saved, or what he's going to lose, and it's going to give you a little bit of a look into what sort of businessman he is and why perhaps he's had so many bankruptcies in his businesses in the past. So this executive order, which is going to save billions, to build the wall, last July, research group Bernstein estimated that minus labor and land acquisition, with a wall that would be about, based on the comments by Trump, 40 feet tall, 7 feet deep, 10 inches thick, and he says 12 inches, but it's actually 10 inches, we checked. And 1,000-mile long wall between the U.S. and Mexico would cost $15 billion. Once you add in labor and land acquisition, it could reach $25 billion. Oh, also $1 billion for concrete, $330 million for cement. Oh, and also flooding and rough terrain, which exists, could also raise the price tag. So this is going to save billions by spending $20 to $30 billion.
Yeah.
It's going to be very effective. What I love about it is that we've criticized the wall as being a stupid, infantile way to try to stop people from coming to this country because tunnels exist, and we already know that they're widely used on the border. But this actually goes 7 feet deep down into the ground, which stops tunnels, except for tunnels that are deeper than 7 feet in the ground.
Except for those.
Except for those. It doesn't stop those, I mean, clearly, but it stops those.
But who can go that deep? Come
Yeah.
on.
Also, theoretically, you could go 3 feet down, and then since you're underground and nobody can see that you're burrowing through a 10-inch thick wall, you can just break through the wall there, I guess. But what could break through rock? Come on.
Okay, so look, bottom line is this is what you guys voted for as a country, right? He did win the Electoral College, and you knew he was going to build a wall, and you knew he was going to waste a lot of money doing it. So congratulations.
Yeah.
So but understand the priorities. So Bernie Sanders, for example, wanted to spend $75 billion getting free college education for all your kids so they could have equality of opportunity. They said that we don't have the money for that. But apparently we do have money. Now this is less, $25 billion, okay? So 1/3 of the kids in the country could have gotten equality of opportunity and amazing, and they could have been businessmen and built more jobs, et cetera. No, we're not gonna do that. Instead, we did find the money apparently for building a wall, and that's what we're gonna do. And again, I'm not aggrieved by this. I was aggrieved by the election because I knew it would lead to this. But of course, if Trump wins, of course he's going to try to he's going to waste a ton of money trying to build a wall.
Probably build some of it himself. Yeah, and look, you can compare the Bernie thing, and I like the Bernie thing, but with the Bernie thing, you don't get a stupid, pointless, racist wall. So you do get that with this. And by the way, you're not going to have to wait very long, apparently. Let's find out what's the timeline for the initial construction of this wall.
When does construction begin?
As soon as we can, as soon as we can physically do it. We're
Within months?
I would say in months, yeah. I would say in months. Certainly planning is starting immediately.
Yeah, that's a ticket.
David Muir said months, and so he says, yeah, months. David Muir could have said decades. He could have said days. It doesn't matter. Trump just, that's a ticket.
Think about the prowess of this businessman. So he builds all his hotels and his resorts and his lavish golf courses, and he's going to make all these millions of dollars. And they say, when are we going to break ground, Mr. Trump? Oh, we're going to break ground in April of 2018, because there's a timeline when you break ground and build something. When you're not breaking ground about to build something, you don't say, months. I think months, sure, months. Sure, months? Yeah. That doesn't happen when you're building something. I've never built anything, but I know it doesn't happen that way.
Yeah. I'm giving him a lot more of a break here than you guys are on this, because he just got started. He's 5 days in. They haven't had a chance to figure.
But he didn't come up with the idea 5 days ago. He's been talking about this for 19 months.
You expected him to do homework and prepare before he became president? Remember, he said he would study once he became president, and then your head would spin with how much he knows.
My head is spinning.
The corporate media has multi-million-dollar anchors. We have you guys. Go to tytnetwork.com/go, and you can help hire investigative reporters that'll do real journalism.